Every year I'm reminded how lazy Hollywood has gotten whenever a sequel like this is made. So as I mentioned in my Reagan review, my allergies have been extremely bad and my voice is kind of going, so if my voice sounds a bit scratchy, because that's how I don't know if that's actually how it sounds, but it's how it feels, that's exactly why. Sorry, but I need to get a video out for this, and what better way to just fill in a gap in between big movies than with a movie that really shouldn't exist. I reviewed the first My Spy back when it came out. It was actually one of the first movies I ever reviewed on this channel. And it was perfectly serviceable as a streaming spy movie. It was perfectly average. I don't remember much about it, but I remember my review being perfectly average. It probably got a C grade. That's probably what it got. And yet, that can get a sequel? Really? Barely being average is enough to get a sequel in this day and age? Well, we've seen the kind of crap that Disney and Warner Brothers have put out nowadays, so is it really that surprising? And I guess it's okay that my voice is going, because I don't really have a ton to say about this movie, other than it's worse than the first movie. Partly because this movie shouldn't even exist at all, but nothing about it is interesting. It's predictable as all hell. It's not funny. The action sequences are not that great, and was, again, no reason for this to exist. Who asked for a My Spy sequel? Literally nobody. Because did that many people actually watch the first movie? I was under the impression I was one of like 10 people that saw the first movie. And I only saw, because again, that was when I was first starting my channel, and that was when theaters were locked down, so basically all I could do was review streaming movies for the first few months of my channel's existence. I think the first movie that came out in theaters that I actually reviewed probably wasn't until October or something. I don't remember what it was, I'd have to look, but it was a while. And let's get into this briefly. I'd break down the plot, but honestly, I forgot it's not that I forgot what happens, but it's hard to explain. There's some, not Russian, I don't know what nationality these guys are supposed to be, but they're trying to get something from the CIA, like, is it some kind of, like, nuclear device or something? It's usually a nuclear device, or it was some kind of bomb, which it usually is in crappy spy movies. And so what they do is that during the kids, I can't remember her name, during their little choir field trip, they capture the son of not necessarily the head of the CIA, but the head of JJ's department, the guy played by Ken Jeong. They capture his son, and so they have to essentially go get him back while disarming the bomb that's somewhere in Vatican City. I think it's like City Hall in Vatican City or something. Again, this plot makes absolutely no sense. Nothing about it is coherent. And maybe it could have made up for it with some cool action, but a lot of the action is really bad. Most of the fights consist of JJ getting his ass kicked. Yes, this big muscle-bound former pro wrestler getting his ass kicked in most of these fight scenes. Ow. So that's out of the window. I guess there was one chase scene where the music was cool, but the rest of the chase was kind of stupid. But maybe it can make up for it with some decent comedy, and no, it doesn't help they cast a lot of actors who are not exactly my most favorite comedians. Like, the ones who play the other CIA operatives are supposed to be comedians, yet they're ones I've never found funny, like Ken Jeong, or the other woman who's with them, or the black dude from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And no, not Terry Crews or Andre Braugher, but the one, I don't remember what his fucking name was, because I don't really like that show, but you know what I mean. None of them are really funny. They're constantly making bad jokes. Every once in a while there was a joke that was funny, but it was usually at a JJ of all people. And a lot of the jokes consist of very childish jokes, actually. Like, there's a scene where JJ and Zhang's character, they're attacked by, I swear they're supposed to be, like, robotic birds, I think, or maybe they're real birds, I don't know. They were really crappy CGI, so I assume they were supposed to be robotic, I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. But the first thing they do is go directly for JJ's crotch. Because this movie has the humor of a Disney Channel movie. It almost kind of feels like this was supposed to be a kid's movie, but it's rated PG-13. And why? Because there are a couple of swear words. That's about it. No blood, no nudity. Well, no human nudity. I'll get to that in a second. It's not what you think. But yeah, just because people say shit a couple times, that got it a PG-13 rating. This could have easily been PG if you took out some of the swear words. That's pathetic. And again, it almost kind of feels like this was supposed to be a kid's movie, but they amped it up to a PG-13 because they wanted to be more adult, I guess. And then there's a scene where a bunch of birds are attacking JJ while he's like hanging off the back of a van, and he literally yells, "They're eating my nipples." And I'm wondering if that was supposed to be Guardians of the Galaxy 2 reference, because it was Dave Bautista who said the line, so I'm wondering if that was supposed to be a callback to the jetpacks with Guardians 2. Either way, it wasn't very funny. And speaking of that nudity thing I was talking about earlier, there was a scene during the final fight, like as it was beginning, starting with a fist fight. There's literally a scene where he throws a clay penis at the villain's head. No, that's not a juvenile joke. That's actually something that happens in this movie. It is a clay penis that he throws at the villain's head. That's disgusting. And it's not funny, and it just... and any decent choreography they had there, I no longer was able to take the fight seriously once the villain got pegged with a clay dick. Can you really blame me? And speaking of the final fight, I talked about the shitty CGI birds. There is a scene inside what I'm assuming a city hall or some kind of museum or something in Vatican City, where it's Zhang talking to the other CIA, like heads of CIA or something while they're chasing the villain. And it is some of the worst green screen work I have ever seen in my life, which is sad because green screen work has gotten so much worse even in big budget movies. It looked so awful. I don't know what happened with the effects there. Because up to that point, the inside didn't look that bad. Maybe they ran out of time to shoot there and just had to shoot those last few scenes on a soundstage in front of a green screen. I don't know, but I don't know what the hell happened. Because up to that point, the inside of it looked fine. Because there were a few shots inside of there. They were wider shots, so maybe that's why it looked better. The rest of them were close-ups with a shit green screen behind them. So I don't know what happened, but yeah. And pretty much every scene, you can tell, like earlier on in the movie, you can tell what the joke is going to be as soon as the scene starts. Because it follows every single one of these cliches you think it does. Like, literally one of the first scenes in this movie, they pull the bullshit of JJ's acting like an overprotective father, and the kid, it's Sophie, or Sophie or Sophia or something. She does the line of, "You're acting like my father, but you're not, so just stop." It's one of those stupid-ass plots where he's the overprotective father, and he and Zhang does the same arc where they need to let go of their kids, let them grow up, and it's the same shit you've seen 1,000 times, and there's nothing new added. I mean, I do appreciate that she actually comes along on the journey, because she actually does have skills, because she's been training to be a spy for the last few years, so it's not some kind of Mary Sue bullshit where she was able to take a couple of guys down, because it actually took her quite a bit of time to do it, even with a freaking taser. It took her a while to take the two dudes down, so I appreciate that. I also appreciate that she wasn't the one to take down the villain, which I thought was going to happen, because, you know, Hollywood, they like to have the male lead get emasculated and have the female lead take over and do everything for him. But no, he actually got to take down the villain, which I do like. So I think the final chase felt very anticlimactic, and not even just in the end. It's like the way the choreography was handled and how it was shot and everything, it almost felt like there was no tension. It kind of felt like the two actors were just going through the motions without actually trying to make us believe that they're actually fighting. It looked like a stage play. It looked fake as hell. But it's kind of the same way with a lot of fights in this movie. They kind of look fake. Like, even the impressive one where Sophie actually gets some decent choreography for the fight, it still doesn't feel real. It feels intentionally over the top. And again, it's not bad, but it just feels fake. And again, that's kind of how the entire movie goes with the comedy, the story. It all just feels like a first draft crap that was never given a second thought. And considering it actually took this movie 4 years to come out, you'd think if they were required to do a sequel to that movie, they would have at least tried in the 4 years it took to get this thing out the door. But what am I talking about? This is Amazon. They haven't tried in years. Have you seen Rings of Power? Or hell, they have Thursday Night Football, and they get some of the worst fucking games on the planet. So that tells you all you need to know right there. I mean, they have had some good stuff. Like, I liked The Tomorrow War, the movie that came out like 3 years ago. Apparently, there's a sequel to that in the works, but I haven't seen anything since the announcement, so I don't know what's going on with that. I'd like to see a sequel to that. Although, if it's as bad as this one, I might regret that decision in a few months if we ever get any updates about it. But yeah, this movie sucks. I don't think anybody is actually going to watch this movie. I don't know what the ratings have been for this. I've seen that both the critics and audience scores are in the toilet, so nobody really gave a shit about this movie. I really didn't either. I'm going to give this a D because it's not bad enough to give an F, but it's just a whole lot of nothing. It's something I'll have forgotten about in a day. So yeah, let me know if anybody actually saw this movie because I'm genuinely curious. Or hell, did people even know this existed? So yeah, that's all I got, and I'll see you next time. Bye.